All right, folks, we are back here at WLT's 1370 AM. And I forgot to tell everybody that tomorrow, there's going to be Well-Being Day at Brunswick Park. Everybody, yes, there's going to be Well-Being Day at Brunswick Park. Everybody can come out at 11 a.m. I think it's not supposed to rain that early. It's between 11 a.m. and 2 p.m. The Field Museum, us with the United Urban Network, and a lot of other people are going to be involved in this. It's an eventful, family-friendly day to celebrate the preservation of the park, natural area, and its environmental heritage. Connect culture to nature by exploring the unique urban green space with an afternoon hike, a birding experience, and a session of soundscape meditation following complimentary refreshments. You can bring your kids out to this. Wow, there will be, for card players, there will be a game table. For bid whist, I mean, somebody better tell my father. I guess we shouldn't tell my father that they're going to be paying bid whist. We may not get them back. At Domino's, oh my God, I might have to go out there and break a table or two. Okay. Domino, there's something for everyone to enjoy. Come out and join us for that type of feel-good day at Brunswick Park. And so tomorrow, Brunswick Park, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. But this one story I definitely wanted to get into, and I've been wanting to do this for a while because this may be the most underrated story going on in our country right now, where major Wall Street investment firms have gone on a buying spree. Yeah. Across the country, they are buying up thousands of homes, sometimes entire neighborhoods, folks, across the country, and turning them into single-family rental homes as the housing market is experiencing a major boom. More than 200 companies and investment firms like BlackRock and JP Morgan are canvassing the entirety of the United States in search of such homes. According to John Burns Real Estate Consulting, many of these companies are competing with families, with everybody else. Now, you can't compete against JP Morgan. You may have some money, but you can't compete with JP Morgan's money. Right. And individual investors. Now, as for right now, Florida and Texas are ground zero for these type of house hunts. But it's spreading. 1 in 5 houses will be bought by somebody who will never move in, meaning an investor of some sort. According to Ryan December, a Wall Street Journal reporter, there's going to be some sort of rental owner. Now, these institutional investors have accounted for a quarter of the home purchases in the Houston area. Now, eventually going back to 2004, 2005. Now, the market eventually tanked, wiping out $11 trillion in household wealth, particularly us in the black community, who lost all the wealth that we had accumulated since slavery, basically, in 2008. Now, you know what financiers do? They buy low. Yep. And they jumped into the market in 2011 and began buying up all these foreclosed houses around the country at steep discounts. They made up the bulk of the market, and after banking regulations made by all of our administrations, whether it's Clinton, Bush 2, Obama, and Trump, made it more difficult for individuals to secure a mortgage. Now, these institutional investors grew during that period, buying distressed properties that no one else would buy, and then put a floor on the market. So they provided a very valuable service and cleaned up the distressed market. But now the industry researchers are worried that a lot of these investors can permanently change the housing market. Now, if you don't want all of America's land, if you don't want all of America's land to end up in the hands of these people, we have to sort of call them out and call this out, because look, like I said, you're not going to be able to compete with with JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs and these bankers and BlackRock and Vanguard. You are not going to be able to compete with these people, folks.
Yeah, no. And the thing is, well, I guess at least as it relates to Gary, that's not a huge problem apparently, according to
Oh,
the
we got to get
article.
it. We got to get
But
it.
it'll get here. It'll find its way here. But these institutional firms, they can buy these properties, hold on to them. They seem to be relatively immune to uh, local government's pressure to maintain the properties and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're too big to fail.
Right.
So what can you do?
Right.
Other than now, here's what I've always thought should happen at the local level when it comes to these distressed properties. Now, you know, properties that get foreclosed by the banks, there's nothing the government can do about that, I guess. But the stuff that gets picked up on tax sale, they ought to have a rule where the only people that can buy a house is a person who lives in the area that does not own more than one property already,
Mm-hmm.
because the ideal is to get these houses back on the market, back owner occupied.
Right.
That's the goal of the thing, not to have somebody buying up whole swaths of property so that they can hold on to it and wait for the next market upheaval. But I don't see why they can't pass a law that says for tax sales, you can be an owner of no more than one property.
I think that's sort of what happened here when they had the dollar houses. Were you here during the dollar house era?
No.
Yeah, we had houses for $1 here in the city of Gary, but you had to be a Gary resident in order to partake in said
Uh-huh.
in said buying, and but you had and you were responsible for all the tax burden and fixing it up and whatnot.
Uh-huh.
And so I don't know exactly how well that went, but that I think that's something like what you're talking about. But do you know who is now the biggest landowner in America, Rev?
Who?
Bill Gates.
Wow.
Yes, Bill Gates, the fourth richest person in the world, has quietly been snatching up 242,000 acres of farmland across the U.S., enough to make him the top private farmland owner in America after years of purchasing agricultural land in Florida and Washington. He has started a massive farmland portfolio that spans 18 states now. 18 states.
So what's he? What is he with Monsanto or
Oh,
something?
Bill Gates got plans for us all.
Yeah.
His largest holdings are in Louisiana, Arkansas, Nebraska. He owns 25,000 acres in transitional lands on the west side of Phoenix, Arizona. And he also is he's involved in food safety company Ecolab, used car retailer Vroom, the Canadian National Railway. Now, it's not clear how his farmland is being used or if it's being set aside for conservation, but this is what we talked about here. The wealthy in our society, in our world, have used this pandemic, the same pandemic that cost everybody else their jobs and their livelihoods and their homes in a lot of instances. They are buying up these homes. They are buying up all this land, and in a very few years, it's going to be hard for anybody here who's not a millionaire to own any property whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why I tell everyone, the more research I've known, whether it's people in the city of Gary or Northwest Indiana as a whole, you have 20% of the world's fresh water in your backyard in Lake Michigan and the Great Lakes. Please do not let these people take your land. Do not let them take your houses because Bill Gates is coming. We have the highest vacancy rate in the country, Rev. 20% of our almost 30,000 single family homes listed in tax assessor data. That means almost 20% of 30,000 homes are vacant. That's more than Flint, Michigan. That's more than Detroit.
Wow.
Yes. Now, our good neighbor, It's almost time to go to a break. I'll get in on our good neighbor
All right.
when we get back from the break in Illinois, because I have my own issues with those people. Okay. We'll be right back after this on WLT's 1370. All right, folks, we are back here on WLTH 1370 AM. And before we went to the break, we were talking about how the wealthy elites have taken this pandemic as an opportunity to buy up all the land, Bill Gates becoming the largest landowner in the country with almost 300,000 acres of land, farmland. We talked about how the banks like BlackRock, Vanguard, J.P. Morgan, and other other large banksters are buying up houses and whole city blocks across the country. Now here in Northwest Indiana, I saw this report that really caught my eye, and it was in the center square. It said that Illinois home price growth is the slowest in the nation.
Mm-hmm.
Northwest Indiana, or NOWIN, is one of the fastest. Yes, Illinois home prices, especially in the Chicago area, appreciated at the slowest pace in the nation last year, growing just below the rate of inflation. While one of the fastest growing areas in the nation, according to a new report, was right next door to Illinois. And they talked to some people in this article, who were real estate agents in Porter County. Mm-hmm. This one real estate agent named Judy Fisher said that 1 in every 10 home sales she sold in 2019 went to somebody moving from Illinois. She said it has been a lot more interest in the last 3 years. Mm-hmm. 20 years ago, you did not see that at all. Another one called Northwest Indiana, or NOWIN, a Chicago suburb because it's within driving distance, and because 1/5 of the homes he sold in 2019 were to former Chicagoans. Mm. The inquiries have been on the increase for the last few years. Now, both of these people have said that Chicago area residents are often shocked to see how much house they can afford in Indiana and compared to other suburban residencies in Illinois. But the property taxes aren't the only reason that they're looking to here in Indiana. They said whether it's automobile taxes or property taxes, it all starts to play a role in relocation. Now, the inflow of Chicagoans is one of the key reasons behind Gary, Indiana's 7.9% increase in home prices year over year, according to an analysis of home price indices from the third quarter of 2019. Mm-hmm. The fastest growth in Gary, the fastest growth is in Gary because people can still commute to the Chicago labor market. Mm-hmm. Now, he said it's evidence of how costly they believe it will be to live right over that line, notwithstanding the long commute they are engaging in. I saw another article. This one's in the NWI Times that was written during the pandemic. It said, pandemic not slowing the sales of homes in the region. So even the pandemic didn't stop people from buying homes here. The Greater Northwest Indiana Associate of Realtors said that after December home sales statistics showed that they were up 40%. 40% mm-hmm. from the previous year in the 7-county area represented by the GNIAR. Most of the sales in Northwest Indiana seem to be driven by Illinois residents. Mm-hmm. He said that the pandemic appeared to have a positive influence on home sales. Mm-hmm. Lake County home sales were up 42% over the previous year, while Porter County sales jumped 58%. And LaPorte County saw an almost 11% increase.
Hmm.
That is staggering, Rev.
Well, you know, I said ever since I moved back here that if Gary, Indiana, and Northwest Indiana wanted to really have turn around the marketing situation, they need to start marketing their communities as bedroom communities of Chicago,
Right,
places where Illinois residents can come, live, raise their children, and still be close enough to the cash cows of Chicago,
right.
you know. And, whether we do it or not, eventually people over there are going to figure it out. I remember during the height of the pandemic, there was a young lady who was visiting uh, one of the two churches that I served. And she lived in Chicago, but because Chicago was on lockdown, and she wanted to worship. And
Hmm.
so she had a friend who was at Good Shepherd Lutheran Church, and she started coming, and worshiping there
Right.
while, during the time the pandemic was on. And she told me, she goes, you know what, I'm actually looking to buy a house here because, in Chicago, I can't do anything.
Wow. That and it's so funny. They do so much to convince us that we don't want to be here, that we should want to leave
Mm-hmm.
our home. Like for many years, especially when I was younger, I used to say I can't wait till I can get the heck away from Northwest Indiana. I told my nephew lives in San Francisco now, and
Uh-huh.
he's involved in the tech industry in some capacity. When he graduated from Purdue, I said, "Do not come back here." I told him
Right.
specifically, "Do not come back here. Do not come back." And I tell my friend that who went off to college as well, "Do not come back here." Now I'm sort of regretting that on some level because well, first of all, in San Francisco, they're kicking people's behinds too with that rent. Google
Right.
and Silicon Valley is really doing a job on the home prices out there
Right.
for working class and poor people. They're not going to be able to, if you're working class or poor, unless you're a millionaire, you're probably not going to be able to live in a lot of the places around San Francisco and Oakland and San Jose for a while anyway. But and this is what the event tomorrow is about. The event tomorrow at Brunswick, the Quality of Life Well-Being Day, tomorrow at 11 at Brunswick, 11 to 2, appreciating how fortunate we are to live someplace like Northwest Indiana. I tell people all the time, I'm so proud to have 20% of the world's fresh water in the Great Lakes in my backyard, basically. I couldn't imagine living anywhere but Miller at this point in my life, or at least somewhere here on the near the lake, Lake Michigan. People are going to be fighting wars over this stuff in the near future. Kamala Harris just said it. She let it slip a few months ago when she was doing a interview, a press conference herself about how water was going to be the new oil, and people are going to fight waters. Well, we have that in our backyard, and we let U.S. Steel park here and not hire that many people from Gary and have all the tax breaks in the world. So we need to reconsider that. But all of us who do live in this city, East Chicago, Hammond, Ogden Dunes, Lake County, Porter County, we really need to understand how fortunate we are to live in a place like this and what we have in our backyard and how valuable it is. We really do.
Mm-hmm.
People from Chicago see it. They're coming.
Right.
They are coming for your home. They're coming for your business. They're coming for, and I love people from Chicago. Okay, I think I have a White Sox hat. Do I have my White Sox? Oh, okay,
No, not today.
I'm
You
wearing
got your
my
Jordan hat.
I'm wearing my Jordan hat today. I guess I didn't want to rub it in with the Cubs situation.
It's okay. It's okay.